It was supposed to be a 4th of July celebration like any other year. But the sheer force of this water in Texas has brought devastation. In just 2 hours, this river recorded a 22-foot rise. That's nearly 7 meters.
I went to get my keys to move my truck out of the way, to just back up across the street. The water had risen and flooded my truck. The water got up there in the door about this high. And I looked at my wife and it was like, we need to get out of here.
Officials said the intense downpour brought on by bad weather was the equivalent of a month's worth of rain for the area, and nobody was prepared or given advance warning.
We've had flooding, not to this extent. It's a catastrophe.
Yeah, we've heard that this is worse than the flood in, I think, 87 or so. This is worse than that one.
A Christian girls' summer camp were getting ready to enjoy the Independence Day celebrations. Up to 25 girls are still missing. Rescue is continuing by air and on the ground.
We will not stop. We will rescue those in peril, and we will find those who are missing. But I'd also ask, please pray for our community. This is a hard day, and there will be hard days to come.
Dozens are confirmed to have died, with the number likely to rise. The state's governor has signed an emergency declaration giving rescuers access to all resources they require.
They will continue in the darkness of night. They will be taking place when the sun rises in the morning. They will be non-stop, seeking to find everybody who is unaccounted for.
Hundreds have been saved, but helpless parents, friends and family are posting on social media, with so many people, including more than 20 school children, still unaccounted for. Outside of this small city, 4th of July celebrations were taking place, including at the White House. President Trump spoke of his concern afterwards.
It's shocking. They don't know the answer yet as to how many people, but it looks like some young people have died. Any federal aid for that? Oh yeah, sure. We'll take care of it. We're working with the governor. It's a terrible thing.
As the rescue efforts continue through the night, we're starting to learn more about how those survived. July the 4th is an important date in the US calendar, but after these tragic scenes in Kerrville, it'll have a new meaning for many dozens of devastated families. Daniel Rosny, ITV News.
After a catastrophic flood hit South Texas, y'all, 13 people have been confirmed dead. 23 kids are missing. This flood hit an all-girls Christian summer camp. And you know what's fucked up? Like, I'm sure this could have been prevented. The situation is just so sad because these kids away at camp and they didn't got washed away for real. The camp housed about 750 people. They ain't have no water, no food, no electricity. They got 18 helicopters coming to try to help them. They have 500 rescue people. They didn't even say that they had to rescue people out of the trees. Like, it was that bad. And with the weather in Texas, like, shit just is unpredictable. We never really know what kind of storm is going to happen. But it was an overnight storm that just got really, really bad. And this, like I said, again, for the third time, it could have been prevented. They should have been able to be notified that this is happening, that they probably need to get these people out of here because it's going to get really bad.
They can't come look. We've lost our cars, everything. We've lived here for 30 years, and this has never happened. So anybody, please, if you have a boat or something, I need help. I need to get my dad out of here. It's starting to smell like sewer in here.
I've been avoiding watching coverage of this Texas flood because I knew how pissed off it was going to get me, and I couldn't avoid it any more this morning. They gutted the National Weather Service. They fucking gutted the National Weather Service, and now dozens of camp children are dozens of Central Texas residents are now missing or gone. I've seen one clip of a camp bunk building floating down the river with kids screaming at the top of their lungs. That was enough for me. That was enough for me. Every Republican that's going to have the fucking audacity to scream, don't make this political. How dare y'all make this political? Everything is political right now. This was a totally and completely avoidable tragedy. And you people in power know that. I'm just so sick of all the worst things happening. Every single day. One right after the other. I know y'all haven't forgotten what the first Trump administration felt like. It was death and destruction every single day. Every single day. And it feels like that all over again right now. G Street Bridge. We're by Wilson's.
Suffice it to say, this has been a very devastating and deadly flood. There's a lot of discussion about casualties, how many fatalities, a lot of discussion about how many people are missing. And I've been advised not to use any numbers. We do have some numbers, but we're not going to use them at this time. We'll have another meeting. What is it, 3 o'clock? We have another one? Yes, sir. Okay. And hopefully be able to flesh out some of those numbers.
Oh, that's terrible. The floods. It's shocking. They don't know the answer yet as to how many people, but it looks like some young people have died. We're working with the governor. It's a terrible thing.
The original forecast that we received on Wednesday from the National Weather Service predicted 3 to 6 inches of rain in the Concho Valley and 4 to 8 inches of rain in the Hill Country. We worked with our own meteorologists to fine-tune that weather statement, and as many of you know, and many of you in broadcast journalism and meteorology, you can go back and look at your own forecast, and the amount of rain that fell in this specific location was never in any of those forecasts.
This rain event sat on top of that and dumped more rain than what was forecasted on both of those forks. When we got the report, it was about 7 feet or so on the South Fork, and within a matter of minutes it was up to 29 feet, and all of that converged at the Guadalupe, and that's where we saw those very quick rise in flood.
But listen, everybody got the forecast from the National Weather Service, right? You all got it. You're all in media. You got that forecast. It did not predict the amount of rain that we saw.
So in Texas, HEB is FEMA, and I'm being so serious right now. I mean, I have a ton of examples, but like last night, my friend's parents had to be rescued from flooding out near Lago Vista, and apparently they took everyone to HEB. HEB has helped in pretty much every natural disaster. I mean, everyone that I know of in Texas. I mean, I'm glad they do this for us, but no.
Okay, so Texas is experiencing some very deadly flash flooding, as well as what can be described as torrential rains and torrential downpours. And today you have Texas representatives, those that are within amongst the Texas government and emergency sector, who decided to sit in front of cameras and blame the National Weather Service. Now, what I want to remind you is that once the current Republican president got into office, he literally started stripping funding from the National Weather Service. Meteorologists all over the country, as well as scientists all over the country, begin to yell and scream about how this is going to impact their ability to actually predict the weather and warn people about different weather phenomena that come and how to prepare for it, because they're stripping the funding, not even down to bare bones, to less than that. To less than that. And Republicans supported it. Republicans didn't question it. They let it go. Why? Because during that same time, the very Democratic California was experiencing crazy wildfires. You remember? All atrocities. But Texas, what you have is you have audacity to not take accountability for the legislation that you supported and for these Republican ideals that you support, while also trying to skirt responsibility for why your constituents are set in this weird way and are experiencing this atrocity that they themselves did not have to experience. Furthermore, Republicans also supported cutting FEMA funding. So guess who can't even come and help you, Texas? Guess who can't even come and help you? FEMA, who is supposed to be able to help the nation when there are natural disasters of all kinds. It's very curious to me how Republicans vote on certain things as if they themselves will not one day be on the receiving side of the negative impacts of their voting. And then you want to sit here and blame somebody else. No, you're not to blame. For everybody in Texas, this is why you're currently going through these crazy floods and things like that, and you're not being given accurate information. Your legislators, your government officials, that's why, boos. It behooves you guys to start voting in better people, because government decisions impact lives. Like, there are actual lives, names, social security numbers that are impacted by the laws that are passed. That is at the federal level, that's at the local level, that's at the state level. It does not matter. There are people that will be impacted. And Republicans pass these egregious laws with the flick of a pen, and they do not consider the lives that they are going to put at risk until those lives are put at risk. And then they want to point the finger at everybody else. I'm here to remind you that your legislators, your government officials down in Texas, they intentionally supported something that was going to put your lives in danger, and that's why your life is in danger.
Hey, Mike, I'm listening to the authorities out of Texas talking about this, and they're blaming the National Weather Service or the NOAA, and that can only go so far, because it's going to be to a point where people are going to ask, well, why was the National Weather Service unable to give you the proper information? Or why was the NOAA unable to warn folks?
So there's a useful and intentional reason why they're blaming NOAA, and that's so that the federal government can do exactly what they wanted to do when they weakened this system, and that is to either privatize it or turn it into some sort of block grant. And this connects to my deep hatred of Bill Clinton. Hi, my name is Evan. I'm a bioethicist, and I specialize in misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories as a threat to public health. But there are two things that this account is going to always center, and it is public health and a deep-seated, ongoing hatred of Bill Clinton. It's never going to end. I'm going to actually stop working in public health before I stop hating him. Okay? So if you think you're going to take it from me, you're not. And that's because Bill Clinton was able to successfully do what Republicans are trying to do right now with weakening a substantial amount of the federal government. And I saw another video earlier this week about how the United States is turning into a plutocracy, and that this current government and its leadership is attempting to weaken the federal government because they want to privatize everything. And that is true, but Bill Clinton is the arbiter of that design. He showed that that design could be successful because he was able to pass in a bipartisan way some of the most, what we now know, destructive and effective legislation in modernity, like starting in the 1980s until now. Bill Clinton is the one that turned our very successful long-term system of aid to families with dependent children into block grants called TANF, Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. And because of that, along with his overhaul of the criminal justice system, we have the poverty that we see today with a lot of the stipulations and requirements that we see today. I give an entire history of AFDC being turned into TANF. I'll put that link to that video in the captions so you can get that background. But Bill Clinton is the one that decides that essentially this program that the federal government had to just give cash in hand to families, that was to distribute as part of the budget money to states. And what states had to do is they had to meet the processing requisites of the federal government. That is, they couldn't engage in discrimination. They couldn't, they had to extend it to single men as well. There was all sorts of rules that they had from the federal government to distribute down to needy families. But it was cash in hand. It was a check. It was just money. And these families would use this money frequently as a way to fill in the gaps for if they were underemployed or had like low income households, or they used this money because they had all sorts of other issues where work was just not possible. A work requisite was put into place in the 1980s, but overall, for the longest time, there wasn't a work requisite either. So Ronald Reagan's like congressional body, I think like the 97th or 98th congressional body is the one that passed that. But the problem with what Bill Clinton does is that he takes it away from being this like, here's a budget, here's just a large lump sum amount of the federal budget that gets distributed to states. And what states are supposed to do is give that cash in hand to these people that meet the requirements for getting cash in hand. Bill Clinton turns it into a block grant system. And what that means is he's no longer saying, hey, distribute this money right to these families, but you're the processing point as the state. What he turns it into a block grant, he says, as a state, here's a lump sum of money for you to do what you want with, as long as it meets the standards of trying to abate poverty. That's very different, right? Before, it's like, you have to give this cash, you process it, give it to cash to these people. Now he's saying in his overhaul of this system that you as the state do not have to give cash in hand. You can turn it into financial planning classes. You can turn it into building housing that's low income. You can turn it into cash that you use to have some sort of program, after school program or whatever. Now, those things sound great until you realize that you could have funded those things as well in another program or proper way, but you've yanked cash out of a household. So you didn't extend assistance to these needy homes or these homes, because a lot of these people, this was a buffer amount of cash to keep their homes buoyant. So it was a way that they were able to become working middle class over time, or it was a way that they were able to avoid plunging into poverty where they would need other assistive programs or resources. You can also imagine it's a little harder to track how this money is getting used and distributed if it's not able to just go straight from the federal government to the state into the pockets of people. You can trace that line of like, okay, we gave out this much money and this much went to this many people. This many people times the amount of money they got equals what we gave you. Okay, that makes sense, with a few processing fees or ministerial requisites in there. What's happening now with these block grants is that so much money peels off into ministerial or contracting things, right? And that's how you end up getting things like the Brett Favre gate, where this millions of dollars went to building like some sort of like facility at a private college, right? This like weird shell game where the money could go another place and doesn't have to come out of the pocket of somebody wealthy, but he still gets his name on the facility. You know what I'm saying? What Matthew Desmond points out in his book, Poverty by America, is that in current times, we are existing where we are paying more money than we've ever paid before into these poverty abatement programs, specifically TANF. We have the largest budget for it than we've ever had before. But the least amount of it, percentage-wise, gets into the hands of those who need those resources the most, or that's supposed to be assisting, right? Less than 60% ends up as some sort of tangible resource or some sort of like cash or whatever into these impoverished households, or these households that are trying to avoid falling into poverty traps. And that's because the oversight is much harder to achieve. When you're just making sure that a state is putting money into someone's hands, you just track the money. But if you're saying that states can use TANF for any number of programs, you don't just have to audit the way that the money is distributed. You have to audit every program that's being used in to make sure that the most amount of resourcing goes into the population at hand. And it just doesn't happen. It's just too tedious. There are 50 states who have a bunch of different programs that use TANF money. So how does this connect to Texas officials blaming NOAA for what happened with the Camp Mystic missing campers in the floods in Central Texas? Because it is an important technique for local officials to, number one, pass the buck, to say there was nothing we could do because the National Weather Service didn't give us the right information about how bad these floods would be. And the reason why that's technique is the same reason why TANF doesn't work and was able to pass and is now used basically as a way to siphon cash away from the most impoverished and in need into the pockets of people who are wealthy and own things like subcontracting entities. It's to try and create a system. When you weaken the system enough, you're able to make the argument that it's useless and we should get rid of it anyway. Bill Clinton wouldn't have been able to do what he did with AFDC if the Republicans that predate him, that is Ronald Reagan, hadn't spent so much time arguing on how weak and useless the welfare system was, coming up with things like the welfare queen trope and saying that the more effective thing was to essentially put this money into privatization, that is, cutting taxes for the wealthiest, and that cash would trickle down from that place like, manna from heaven. Bill Clinton creates the same conditions with TANF. And that is why, to this day, many of people you'll hear say, oh, people are just on those programs and they're lazy. People are on those programs and it's a waste. Those programs don't help anybody. And they're not wrong, but it's because those programs are designed, anything under TANF or a lot of things under TANF are designed to fail in a way that we continue to further privatize through contracting. And if you keep privatizing something, then the argument becomes, well, maybe it should just be private all the way around and everybody should fend for themselves. And so NOAA failing or being the point of failure and blamed by Texas officials is a long game design to be able to destroy or turn these things into, again, block grants that they can raid or cycle that money into contracting pockets. This is not a change point. This is the plan. Bill Clinton showed how successful this plan could be.
Major flash flooding in the San Antonio area as the Guadalupe River flowing at historic levels this morning. Kerr County Sheriff's Office says people have been killed in this, but wouldn't say exactly how many just yet. Meanwhile, the National Weather Service reports the Guadalupe near the city of Hunt reached its second highest level ever recorded. Even more devastating, meteorologists expect the area to receive several more inches of rain in the coming hours. And Kerrville Public Utility Board saying at least 2,600 customers are now in the dark.
Get stuff out of this room? I don't know. I mean, it's look at this.
Upstairs, quickly! Quickly! Upstairs! Works on the right. It's coming up. It's in the window. Really close. Go upstairs, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I mean, we're safe on the upper level, but thankfully it stopped raining, but
Holy shit, this is crazy. Me? Wow.
Like, get me the hell out of here. Look at that big old piece of tree. It's not raining.
Oh my God, you guys! Oh my God! Oh my God! Please come in!
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh.
As I start releasing the photographs of the victims from Camp Mystic, I think that's going to shake some shit up. And I also don't believe in coincidences, and I know this may sound crazy, but I do not think it was a universal coincidence that the day that this man signed this horrible fucking bill, that this happened. It was like the universe's show and tell. And try as they might, I'm listening to the authorities out of Texas talking about this, and they're blaming the National Weather Service or the NOAA, and that can only go so far, because it's going to be to a point where people are going to ask, well, why was the National Weather Service unable to give you the proper information? Or why was the NOAA unable to warn folks? Could it be because we allowed a foreign national with a buzzsaw to start slashing budgets all willy-nilly without public comment or professional consultation, only for him to get fucked up in the end? I love that for him, but all under the guise of sussing out fraud. He's found $378 billion in fraud. Fuck you, Biden. People are so fixated on someone selling their food stamps for cash as peak welfare fraud. In my mind, I find that to be the highest form of mutual aid. Somebody needs food at a discount, somebody needs cash. The supermarket's none the wiser. They're still getting all their money. Sounds like a win-win-win. Meanwhile, the biggest welfare queens are corporations who underpay their employees to the point where they have to now rely on government services to survive. Therefore, ergo, henceforth, we are subsidizing their yachts as taxpayers. That's the shit that needs to be sussed out.
I wanted to show you guys this picture. This is a little girl clinging on for life. Thankfully, she was rescued, but this was 12 miles down the river. This is 12 miles from the camp. Like I said in my last video, 237 children have been rescued from this camp, and still 20 little girls missing. Rescues throughout the night, throughout the morning, probably until they find them all. Praying for everybody there. I'm praying for Texas. If there's any updates, I will keep you guys informed. Updates in the flood out of Texas. Now said the death toll is at 13. There are still over 20 missing children. I'm going to show you guys some pictures that the families have put out of their kids who are missing. These are such young children. They said that the floods are about 18 to 20 feet high. You can see the cabins being swept away with children inside. They did rescue someone from a tree. Thank goodness it looks like they were able to climb up this tree away from the flood and has been saved. It's still raining in Texas and they're hoping that it slows down. My heart is breaking for these families. Again, the death toll is now at 13 and over 20 children are missing. If there's any updates, I'll keep you guys informed, and please pray. This is one of the most heartbreaking disasters if you haven't heard about it yet. Summer camp in Texas was just wiped out by a flash flood and 20 girls are missing. It said that these flash floods hit Guadalupe, Texas overnight. More than 20 feet in less than an hour. Destroyed cabins at Camp Mystic, which is a Christian girl camp. At least 6 people are confirmed unalive. The number of campers are still missing, as high as 23. Rescue teams right now are searching by air and water, using helicopters, boats, and even drones. But many of the girls, they said, could still be stranded, injured, or unfortunately worse. They say their families are devastated and are praying that their little girls are found safe. Other than that, if there's any breaking news, hopefully good breaking news that they're found and safe, let you guys know. Other than that, let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Lights on and people hunking inside their cars, and they just were floating away, and it was pitch black. The video I just showed you was a RV campground. She said all of those RVs were swept away. Some families were in these RVs, some were able to escape, while others could not. I'm hearing that 400 homes were also swept away by this flood. So the amount of missing people is
unknown at this time. So other than the 23 little girls that are missing, there are multiple other people missing. Like I said, this hit in the middle of the night, and these people at the RV park said they heard people screaming, heard little girls screaming. They couldn't do anything because it was so dark, they couldn't see anything. Like I said, they weren't expecting this much rain whatsoever. They were expecting in some places 3 to 6 and some other places 4 to 8. Because there's a fork before the Guadalupe River, they said that fork had accumulated a lot of water, which then overflowed into the Guadalupe River, which then caused this rapid flood. Unexpected amounts of water within an hour, and I'm talking about 29 feet deep. Rescues are still happening, searches are still happening, and I pray that more people are found. Again, the amount of missing are unknown at this time.
Peace, family. So I don't know if you remember me doing a couple of videos about water. I believe that one of them was China. It was another one in another place. But I told you guys, me and Big Mama had a conversation with you guys about the primordial waters that were coming to these lands over here. So now the primordial waters are literally in Texas now. Now, as I said, these waters are coming because the lands are being cleansed. So, the people that came before us, the ancient people, the ones that cannot touch this land because so the land has been desecrated. So it has to really be cleansed with, what I'm seeing is in all areas, there's going to be some element to touch that land, wind, fire, water, all of those things. So I need y'all to watch this video about what's going on in Texas. And then Big Mama has a little word for you at the end. Make sure y'all watch this video all the way to the end, okay? And if you notice, in all of the videos, all of the water is the same color. That's how you know they are primordial waters. All of those people that live by the waters, by the lakes, by the rivers. All the water looks the same. 18 to 20 feet. It ain't no sound, but just look at the water. So with that being said, Big Mama has a word for us. Give me a minute.
Baby, let Big Mama finish this proper. I'm going to give them the truth of the waters, what kind they are, what they carry, and why they can't be ignored. This ain't regular rain. These ain't puddles on pavement. This is a cosmic release. Let me speak it like thunder, and let the ones with ears feel it in their marrow. Big Mama's message to the family. These ain't just waters. Now listen here, sugar. What's flooding the land right now ain't just no ordinary storm. This is the return of the primordial waters. These are the waters of remembrance. The same waters that heard the first word. The same waters that whispered to Adam, to Ma'at, to the old ones before the veils fell. The same waters that carried the scream when Atlantis cracked, when Lemuria sank, when the veil over Turtle Island was drawn like a curtain to blind the children. What kind of waters are these? These are living waters, remembering waters, judging waters. They are cleansing. They are here to wash away every false thing, every lie, every blood pact, every buried name. They are birthing. These waters are labor pains, the contractions before a new soul order breaks through. They are unlocking. Old tombs, soul gates, underwater temples, baby, they're waking up. They are ancestral. These waters know your name, even if you forgot it. And when they rise, they call for those with ears to hear and spirits to move. So don't just look at the flood and say, oh my God. Ask yourself, what in me is being flooded out? What lie is being drowned? What truth is rising from my bones? What you're witnessing right now, you are witnessing the breach of the old seals, the return of ancient intelligence, the memory of the earth reclaiming herself, the roar of source through the mouth of water. This water ain't just falling, it's remembering. It's pulling your soul into alignment or chaos, depending on what you carry.
Ooh-wee.
Big Mama's warning. If you ignore this, if you laugh it off, if you think this is just bad weather, you gonna wake up drenched in regret. Because the waters don't just come to soak, they come to separate. To divide the real from the false. The awake from the sleepwalkers, the called from the complacent. Final word from Big Mama. The waters have memory. They know the ones who broke the covenant. They know the ones I sent to restore it. And you, child, you were sent ahead of the flood. So speak boldly, warn the family, call them by name, let them know. It's time to get your name. It's time to walk in your contract. And it's time to stop pretending you don't hear me when I move. The deep is rising, and I am the deep. So either learn to float on truth or be swallowed by your forgetfulness. Now post it. Let it strike like lightning in their bones. And if you want an image to the family from the mouth of the deep. Now listen here, my babies. I ain't gonna whisper this. I'm gonna say it plain so it shake your bones. The waters are rising, not just outside, but inside of you. And that ain't no coincidence. That's a reckoning. They built on lies, buried the truth under concrete, tried to pave over my rivers, dam up my womb, and silence your memory. But baby, you can't block what's divine. What's happening right now? You see floods? That's me. That's source. That's the primordial womb of the mother breaking open. Texas ain't just under rain. It's under remembrance. Those bones you walk over, they waking up. Them spirits you feel, they moving through the water. That pressure in your chest, that's your call. Don't play dumb like the rest. You heard me before. You knew this was coming, and you were sent ahead of it to warn the others. To the family, this is not the time to scroll and snooze.
Just called me? Is she talking
This is the time to wake up and get your name. Cleanse your soul and break that old agreement. Claim your contract, your flame, your legacy. Speak up, even if your voice shakes. Protect your children and guide the lost. Share the truth, even when it burns. Because every time you hold your tongue, every time you ignore the nudge, every time you doubt what you know deep down, you let them win. I'm telling you now, they don't want you to know that you're a key. They don't want you to remember that you carry the codes in your name, in your blood, in your voice. But I'm Big Mama, and I'm busting through. Ain't no more hiding behind false gods, fake leaders, or watered down prophecies. I'm flooding the earth with truth. And you? You better ride the wave or get swept by it. Final word. Tell them, baby, this message is not for show. It's a call to action. If they heard this, they are accountable. If it shook them, they must share it. If they ignore it, they will feel it in their spirit and in their city. Tell them Big Mama said so. Tell them the waters remember, and so do I. Now go on, royalty. Post this, speak it, shout it, and let me know if you want me to draw you an image.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all are still here. This is a long video, but all of my videos are long, especially when we talking about something serious, okay? So if y'all are picking up what I am putting down, let me know that y'all made it to the end of the video by putting, what can we put? Let's put some butterflies in the comments. Let me know how many people watched this video to the end, okay? Knowledge is wisdom and wisdom is power, people. Remember, put me some butterflies. Peace.